my dears. Welcome to Mrs. Baker's Chemistry Corner, monster paper for module 7 or 8. This is question 7. Okay, electroplating steel objects with silver involves a 3-step process. In step 1, a coating of copper is applied to the object. In step 2, a coating of nickel is applied to the object. And in step 3, a coating of silver is applied to the object. So a diagram here is shown for step 1. So you've got copper sulfate, you've got a copper anode, and you've got the steel object as the cathode. The chemical process taking place on the surface of the object is copper ions are gaining 2 electrons and turning into copper metal. Explain whether this is oxidation or reduction. Well, you've got 2 plus going to 0 in oxidation state. That is a decrease, therefore it is reduction. So explain means you've got to do more than state. So reduction is the state. Then you need a because. Anytime you see the word explain, you need the word because in your answer. Reduction because there is a decrease in oxidation state. You could also use oil rig here, and reduction is gain. So you could also do gain of electrons. Okay? Oh, I missed a C. Electrons. Okay? You don't have to put both, but you do get a mark for either or. Explain why the concentration of copper ions in the electrolyte remains constant throughout step 1. So if we go back to step 1, we see that we've got a copper anode. So as soon as we use up these copper 2 ions, they're being replaced into the electrolyte by the copper anode. So we just got to put that into 2 points. So 1, the copper ions are being replaced 2 by the anode. And then you can put a 3rd point at the same rate as they are being turned into copper metal at the cathode. There, you have really answered that question well if you do that. Give 2 changes which would be needed in order to coat nickel onto the object in step 2. So what changes do we need to make to this surface here? What we need to do, we can't have copper as the anode, or we're going to still carry on plating the steel object with copper. So we can't have copper. What we'll need to replace it with is nickel. And of course, we can't have copper sulfate as the electrolyte. We will need something else. So I don't know, maybe nickel sulfate. Because otherwise the copper from the electrolyte is still going to go up and coat the cathode. So what we need to do, 2 changes. Change number 1 would be to change the anode to pure nickel metal. And change 2 would be change the electrolyte to nickel sulfates, something like that. If you weren't sure what charge nickel had on it, then just write the words nickel sulfate and you'll still get the mark, okay? So if you're not sure, I mean, this is right, but if you weren't sure if it was something else and you weren't sure what the charge was because it was a transition metal, just write the name. Don't take a guess at the correct formula if you're not sure, okay? And that's it. That's all for question 7.